How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf Daled, Daf 104 of Masechta BavaBasra. Givaldig. We're learning Perek Base Core about selling fields, and it's mamish givaldig. All right, we're going to start at the Mishnah on Daf Kuf Gimel Amud Beis. Says the Mishnah Base Core offer ani mochelach mida bachevel baram. If Shimon says to Reuven, I'm selling you a base core of earth, mida bachevel, measured by a rope. Well, if that's the case, it's exactly a base core. Piches kolshu, yinake, hoser kolshu, yachzir. If it's any less than a base core, well then, Shimon the seller needs to give back some of the money. Hoser kolshu. I'm reading that again. If there was extra land that was sold, it was more than a base core, well then Yachzer Ruvain needs to return that to Shimon. Vim Omar hein choser hein yoser. But if Shimon said, look, I'm selling you a base core, give or take, afilu piches rova lisoya, even, well in that case if it's more or less, so then there's a window of up to a rova l'sa'a. One sa'a is 6 kavs. A rova is a quarter of a kav. So 6 times 4 is 24. So we're talking about 1/24 of a sa'a, right? So there are 30 sa'as in a core. So be'etzem, a quarter of a sa'a times 30, right? There's 30 sa'a in a base core. So a quarter of a sa'a times 30 quarter sa'as. Okay. So where am I? So afilu piches rova l'sa'a. So even if so when he says more or less in chaser and yoser, well then there's a window. There's like a margin of up to 1/24, either less or more, or hosi rova l'sa'a yigia, right? So if it turns out that Shimon sold to Ruvain 1/24 less property, or he sold him 1/24 more property. When it's less property, Shimon doesn't need to give anything back to Reuven. When it's more property, Reuven doesn't need to give anything to Shimon. Yosef mikan, but if it's more than a 24th of a difference, well then yaise cheshbin. Well then they have to figure out already. It's too much, and they have to return stuff. Ma'u machzer, what does it return? So when there is extra land, right? So say Shimon was selling Reuven a base core, and it turns out that Shimon sold Reuven more than a base core, and not just a little bit more than a base core, but more than a 24th. Let's say a 23rd more than a base core. So Ma'u machzir lo Ma'os. So Reuven doesn't give back Shimon the extra land, rather Reuven pays Shimon for that land. If Shimon prefers, however, Reuven can give him back the land. I don't know what I just said, but be'etzem, so if Shimon sold him, okay, so if Shimon sold Reuven a base core, okay? Now, as I said, a base core is 30 sa'a, and the cheshbon that we're going by is a quarter of a kav per sa'a. There are 6 kavs in a sa'a. A quarter of a kav, meaning there are 24 quarter kavs in a sa'a. So 1/24, so 1 quarter kav per sa'a. There are 30 sa'as, so 30 quarter kavs. Now, 30 quarter kavs is betzim 7.5 kavs, right? Each 4 quarter kavs is 1 kav. So if you do 30 divided, so be'etzem, if you do 30 divided by 7, 30 divided by 4, so then it's 7.5. So be'etzem 7.5 kavs. So if Shimon sold to Reuven, meaning Reuven paid for the sale was for a base core, but it turns out that there was an extra, a little bit more than 7.5 kavs extra. So in that case, Reuven needs to essentially give Shimon back the extra 7.5 kavs of land. Now here's the thing. The thing is, what's Shimon going to do with 7.5 kavs of land? It's insignificant. It's insignificant. There has to be at least 9 kavs for it to be significant. 7.5 kavs or a little bit more than that is not significant. What's he going to do with it? So therefore what? So therefore Reuven doesn't give back Shimon land, because it's what's Shimon going to do with it? Therefore Reuven pays Shimon for the extra land. That's what they do. Right? So again, Ma'u Machzer, what does Reuven return to Shimon? What does he pay Shimon? Ma'os. Reuven pays Shimon for the extra 7.5 plus kavs. But if Shimon would, wants the 7.6 kavs, so then so Reuven gives him the land, and then Shimon has the land. Why did they say that Reuven doesn't give Shimon the little bit of property, rather he pays Shimon money and then keeps the property? Because to give the better sort of position to the seller, to Shimon. Shimon gets the better position, because what's he going to do with, a tiny bit of land? There's not much he could do with it, so therefore just, we want to take care of him, and we take care of Shimon, and Reuven pays Shimon for that extra land. Shem Shir Besada Beis Tisha Kavin. Now, if there would have been an extra 9 kavs, okay, so if Shimon was selling Reuven a base core, but it turned out that he got a base core plus another 9 kavs, well, 9 kavs is already significant as a field in its own right. Well, in that case, we don't have this same cheshbon. In that case, Reuven gives Shimon back the extra land, and Shimon has this land, and it's significant enough for him to be able to do stuff with. Uvegina base chatzi kav. And if we're talking about a garden, not a field, well then the amount that would be enough for significant enough for a garden would be half of a kav. That would be enough for Reuven to return property to Shimon. Rabbi Akiva base rova, according to Rabbi Akiva, it would be even if we're talking about a garden, even a base rova would be enough for Reuven to return property to Shimon. Machzelo Sakar could return the property. Velois rova bavadu machzer eles kol hamoser. He doesn't just return the extra rova, but rather all of the moser. We're not okay. The Gemara is going to talk about that. Now that I read this, now that I was explaining it, I actually realized why I didn't understand the Gemara before. But yeah, okay, so it doesn't just return the rova, but all of the... fine. Yeah, so then, and so the extras, Reuven doesn't just return to Shimon the extra rova, but also everything above and beyond that. The Gemara is going to explain that at the end. So now, says the Gemara, where am I? It says the Gemara, base core stam in my. What if he just says base core, but he doesn't say anything else, right? Meaning our Mishnah talks about mida b'chevel or hin chaser and yoser. What if he didn't say mida b'chevel? What if he didn't say hin chaser and yoser? Then how do we treat it? Yibayu the asakasha base core stome mai. What if he just base core? Tashma coming here. Base core offer ani mocher loch. So if what? So if Shimon says to Reuven, I'm selling you a base core. Azoy. Mida b'chevel. Wait, what? Oh, no, wait, what am I? Brain, get with the program. The base core is some of my. So Tashma, come in here. Our Mishnah had said, base core offer ani mocher loch mida b'chevel, that if he davka says, I'm selling you a base core, mida b'chevel, well then, pachos kolshu yinake yaser kolshu yachser. Well then, if it's even a little bit less, Reuven's got to give, Shimon's got to give Reuven back money. If it's a little bit more, so then Reuven's got to give back to Shimon the extra property. Hostama, what if he didn't say mida b'chevel? By default, then ein chaser and yaser dami. Well then it would be like he said ein chaser and yaser, right? I mean, if he says dafka mida b'chevel, then that's the rule. But if he doesn't say mida b'chevel, if he just says stama, then it's like he says ein chaser and yaser. But ema seifa. But then one second, you can make the same argument fakir. V'im omar lo ein chaser ein yaser. But if he says davka ein chaser ein yaser, afilu Piches Rova Lisa Ohosir Rova Lisa Higeo. Well, in that case, if he says in Chaser and Yoser, well, then there's sort of a leeway up to a 24th. Hastame, but what if he doesn't say Chaser? What if just by default Stam Kimida Bachevel Dami? Then it should be like Mida Bachevel. So you can make arguments both ways based on the ratio or the seifa. Rather, we can't learn. This isn't we can't learn about the default scenario from here. Tashma, come in here. Base core offer ani mocher loch. So if Tashma base core offer ani mocher loch. If anyways, what am I doing here? I don't know what am I doing here. Wait, what? Why did that? 1 second. Let me check something. Interesting, did that? Oh, but I'm also wearing noise cancelling headphones. Maybe should I take off? Maybe I'll take off the noise cancelling headphones. That's a good idea. This is going to throw me off. Oh wow, totally throws me off. Alright, Al Capone. So where am I? So Elameo Leklam Mashmina. So Toshma, whoa, this is a whole different experience. Alright. Toshma, come in here. Base core offer ani mocher loch. If he says, I'm selling you a base core of offer. Okay, base core, okay, wait. So base core offer ani mocher loch, right? So if he just says base core offer ani mocher loch, but doesn't say mida b'chevel, doesn't say in chaser and yaser. Kives core offer ani mocher loch, like a base core offer I'm selling you. Hein chaser and yaser ani mocher loch, or I'm selling you hein chaser and yaser. So afilu piches rova l'sa osi rova l'sa igio. Well, then there's a window. There's like a leeway of a 24th. So alma. So what do we see? So in that brisa, we lump together all three by the default. And we said when he says base. So when he says base core offer ani mochalach, or when he says ki base core offer, or when he says in chaser yosef, we lumping them all together and say it's the same halacha. So alma stoma nami kein chaser yosef dami. So we see that stoma seems to have the same halacha as in chaser and yaser. So the Gemara says no. Hasan parushe kamefarish. No, that price is explaining Ezu base core shehi kive core. What is a scenario where a base core is like a base core, i.e., there's wiggle room, leeway? Kigon da'amalei hein chaser and yaser. For example, if he says hein chaser and yaser, so then there's wiggle room. Right, so meaning whether he says in chaser and yaser, whether he says kives core, in either scenario, it would be you'd have that extra 24th. But it doesn't tell us about what happens if you would just say base core offer without anything else. But Maskef Rashi says that no, I don't agree with that. Imkain ani mocher loch lamali. Then why does it say ani mocher loch in between each one? Right, it says. What does it say? It says, Beis kor offer ani mochelach. Ki beis kor offer ani mochelach. Hein chaser and yaser ani mochelach. We're like dividing up each one as if they're like separate halachas. So lav shmamina stome nami kein chaser and yaser dami shmamina. Rather, no, what it is that he's giving three different scenarios. Whether you say Beis kor offer ani mochelach, whether you say ki beis kor offer ani mochelach, or whether you say hein chaser and yaser, in any of those scenarios, it would be there would be the base. There would be the 24th of leeway. So now machzir lo mos vechule. So we had said that when he says in chaser and yaser, so we say that there is kind of this leeway of up to 24th. Now, if it's more than that, so if it's like 7.5, a little bit more than 7.5 kavs, well then we say that Ruvain pays Shimon, rather than giving Shimon 7.5 kavs of earth, because we want to help out Shimon. So he's not just getting a tiny bit of property. It's a question. What, we're only looking to improve, I guess, improve the power. Sounds too technical. to benefit, let's just even say. Right? We're only looking to benefit that's not the right thing either, but anyway, liapos kocha, we're looking to, improve the position of the seller, but not the buyer. Or liapos kocha shamocher, liapos kocha shalokeach lo minan. Well, we're just looking to benefit the seller and improve his position, but not the buyer, not Ruvain. V'atanim, we're in a brayso, pis tches shivas kabin v'mechza lakor. If it is 7.5 calves per core less, or 7.5 calves per core more, higio, well then that's fine. That's kind of within the 1/24th threshold. Yoser mikan, but if it's more, if it varies more than that, well then kofines hamocher, we compel the seller. We force the seller, not the buyer, the seller, limkor, to sell. We say lokeach nikach, and the buyer to buy. Okay, it's not like, okay, we'll go weiter and we'll explain what this actually means. But I think what the Gemara is doing, I think what it's going on is the Gemara is getting excited that it's saying kofin is amocher. That you see, we're compelling the mocher, not just the lokeach. So it's not like we're only benefiting the mocher. No, so hasam. Okay, here's what's going on over there though. This is what's going on. Hasam kigon davi akiru meikar v'zol. Here's the thing. No, what's going on over there is, no, it's like we said in the Mishnah, that we are improving the position of the seller of Shimon. We want to look out for Shimon, that Reuven doesn't just give Shimon a tiny piece of land that he can't do anything with. And therefore, by default, Reuven would pay Shimon the value of that property. And if Shimon wants, he can take the property if he wants, but by default, he can demand that he wants payment rather than property. So that's that. We want to improve the position of Shimon. Now, that being the case, and Reuven needs to pay Shimon for the property, the question is, what if the value of the property has changed? And now it's cheaper, or now it's more expensive. So if the value of the property now is cheaper, so that is what we're saying, that we compel the seller, that we compel Shimon. Meaning Shimon could say, I want property and I want money, and Reuven needs to pay Shimon. That's that. However, Shimon says, okay, well, I want you to pay me the value of the property at the time of the sale. Reuven says, no, the value of the property has gone down since then. I'm paying you the current value. So in that case, we compel Shimon to accept the current cheaper value. That's what it means, right? So Klikon, Davi Akira Meikar, for example, if at the time of the sale the property was more expensive, Vizol, and now it's less expensive, and we say that we compel Shimon to accept the current less expensive value. Vizal Hasha, now it's less expensive. Damina Le, that we say to Shimon, we compel him, I'ara Yohavas Li, Havli Kizola Dashta. That, wait, what is that? Damina Le, I'ara Yohavas Li, Havli Kizola Dashta. Wait, what? I'ara Yohavas, wait, what? Wait, what? Kigon Davi Akira Meikar, Vizal Hashta, Damina Le, I'ara Yohavas Li. I don't understand what that means. If you're giving him, Oh, I get it. That's why the Gauss Tsunami says lay. Meaning if you're giving, maybe that's what it means. That Shimon says that we say to Shimon that if you're giving Reuven the property, i.e., he's going to pay you money and he's going to keep the property, well, you have to give it to him at the current cheaper price. And that's what we're compelling Shimon to accept the less expensive price. V'atanya, but we learn in the Brisa, Kshu nosin lo kashir shelokach mimenu. But 1 second, we learn in the Brisa that Reuven pays Shimon at the rate at the time of the sale. Well, that's fakir. Hasam kigon davazol meikar v'yikara la hashta. No, that is the opposite. When it was initially a good rate, it was very cheap, and now the price of the property has gone up, and Shimon now wants the more expensive price. Well, in that case, we say no. Reuven says, look, I bought the property at the cheaper price because that's what I was willing to buy it at. I wouldn't be willing to buy it at the current expensive price, so I'm not paying you the current expensive price. I'm paying you what I was willing to pay at the time of the sale, and that is the cheaper price. So in those cases, we compel Shimon to, so Shimon can choose whether he wants money or whether he wants property. But if he wants money, well, then we can compel him to accept essentially the if there's a fluctuation in price, the less expensive rate. Shemshir b'tzadeh beis tes kabin v'chulei. So the Mishnah had said that if the extra is 9 calves, if the extra is 9 calves, well then Shimon takes the land. He doesn't take the money. Okay. So now, Rav Huna says, Rav Huna tes kabin she'amru va'afilu b'bika gedola. Rav Nachman benosin shivas kabin mechzul l'chokor v'chor. V'ika milsi yisera l'tzis shel kabin adri. So it's interesting machlokas now between Rav Huna and Rav Nachman. Rav Huna says that once you hit 9 kavs of extra land, that Shimon sold Reuven 9 kavs of extra land, even if it's a humongous property that Shimon sold Reuven, 1,000 cores. So if 1,000 cores, then a 24th would be 1,000 rovas. But no, even if Shimon is selling Reuven, according to Rav Huna, 1,000 cores, if Shimon sold Reuven 1,000 cores and 9 kavs, even though those 9 kavs are literally a rounding error, there'd have to be 1,000, well, I guess 250 kavs in order for it to be a 24th. I think I did the math right, hopefully there. But a 24th is going to be way more than 9 kavs, it doesn't matter. 9 kavs is considered a field in its own right, and therefore, according to Rav Huna, if Shimon gave Reuven 9 kavs extra, even on a humongous property, which is literally a rounding error, makes no difference. Reuven would give to Shimon those 9 kavs. Whereas Rav Nachman says, no, it's always a cheshbon of it's always relative. A 24th, whether we're talking about 1 base core or 1,000 cores, it makes no difference. Says Rav Nachman, it's always going to be a 24th of leeway. If it's above that, well then Reuven would return to Shimon. So again, so Rav Huna says, Rav Huna tes kavim, that once we say 9 kavs, even in a humongous open area, 1,000 cores, if Shimon gave Reuven an extra 9 kavs, Reuven would have to give that back to Shimon. Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, no sin shivas kabin v'mechzel l'chokor v'chor. No, it's a cheshbon of 7.5 kavs per core. And if we're talking about 1,000 kavs, well, 1,000 cores, then we're talking about 1,000 7.5 kavs? What's 7.5 times 1,000? 7.5 No, that can't. Wait, what? Oh, no. It's 7.5 per 1,000. Per 7.5 kavs per core. So it would be, what's 7.5 times 1,000? 7,500 kavs. 7,500 kavs. Why did I think it was 250,000? Why did I think it was 250? Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, wait, we said 250. I don't know, what did I do wrong? Oh, well, I said it would be 1,000 rovas per saw. No. No, it's one. No. It's 30 rovas per 30 rovas per core times 1,000. Oh, so that would be 3,000. Would it even be probably 30,000 rovas. It would be 30 rovas per saw. No, 1 rova per saw, 30 rovas per core. 30 times 1,000 is 30,000. Divided by 4 is 7,500. Okay. Fine. Anyways, whatever. So it says Rav Nachman, it's always going to be relative, right? So it in Shivas Kavim v'mechzol l'chokor v'chor. V'ika milsi yisera, and if it's more than 9 kavs, which even if we're talking about 2 core already, we're talking about not more than 9 kavs, we're talking about more than 9 kavs. V'imilsi yisera l'tisha kabin hadre, well then you give back the property rather than the money. Eisvei Rav Rav Nachman, Rava asks Rav Nachman Akasha, she'im shir besodeh beis tishas kabin, that our Mishnah said that if there's an extra 9 kavs, lav dezavin le koraim, is it not talking about where Shimon sold Reuven 2 kavs, in which case a 24th for 2 kavs would be 15. For 2 cores, wait, what? A 24th for 2 cores would be 15 kavs, and we're still, so it's not talking about even when 2 cores were sold, and we're saying that 9 kavs, it would have to go back like Rav Huna, even though 15 would be a 24th. Lo dezavin le kor. No. It's talking about when there is when a core was sold and the extra was 9 kavs. So yeah, in that case, Reuven gives back property to Shimon. Uvegina base chatzi kav, and in a gina, half of a kav, not a quarter of a kav, but half of a kav. Lav dezavim le sa'asayim. So not talking about where 2 sa'as were. Wait, what? Chatzi. Wait, what? Where am I? Wait, did I just confuse myself? Wait, I need to think for a second. Oh yeah, exactly. Right. It's a quarter kav per saw. So a half a kav would be for 2 saws. Okay. Lo dezavin le saw. It's talking about where there was 1 saw sold and half a saw extra. So therefore, it's more than 1/24 of Divrei Rabbi Akiva base rova. My lab dezavin le saw is not talking about even when a saw was sold, and we're talking about a rova. Lo dezavin le chatzi saw, half a saw was sold, and there was a rova extra, so in that case it's more than a 24th. Boy, Rav Ashi asks, Sada v'nai says Gina v'nai says Sada. My, what if you have a field that was then made a garden that was then made a field? My, take uchveisnish tane moyer samuch l'sada. If this extra property though was adjacent to another field of Shimon's, right? So Shimon sold Reuven a field, right, a base core that was adjacent to another field that Shimon owned. And it turned out that the base core was, more, it was, a little bit more than 7.5 kavs extra. So Reuven's got to return that to Shimon. So in that case, if it's adjacent to Shimon's field, well, then he gives Shimon property, because, it'll just end up being, added onto the adjacent property, and he'll just plant it and do stuff with it like he does, together with the rest of his field. I feel the cultural machzor, even if it's just a tiny amount, Reuven would return that to Shimon. Machzor karki, return property. But Rav Ashi asks, Borma, what if there's a pit in between? Mao shetafsik, would it be a hefsik to be considered separate fields? Amasamayim mao, or a canal, a stream, shetafsik. Derech harab mao shetafsik, what if there's like a public thoroughfare, richba dedikla mao, or like a bunch of palm trees, shetafsik, take uchveisnish. V'los harova b'vad mach, so Reuven doesn't just return the rova, ela kol hamoser, but all the moser. Klapilai, what do you mean? I would think fakert. Not just the extra does he give back, but also even the rova itself he gives back. Tani Ravin by Rav Nachman lois hamoser bilvad machzelo. He doesn't only return the extra, eles kol harva and kulam, but also all of the rovas as well. Peace out.